Welcome once again to Title 18, Word Crimes. I'm Erik Arneson. On this episode, we're featuring two stories, one by Earl Phillips and one of my own. We're going to start with Ron's story, On the Sly. Ron writes great stories, but he's also the man behind One Eye Press, a publisher of webzines, anthologies, and novellas. One Eye Press includes the website Shotgun Honey, which focuses on crime fiction stories of 700 words or less. I'm one of the editors at Shotgun Honey, so I'm a little biased, but I think it's the best crime-focused flash fiction site on the web. You can find us at shotgunhoney.net. One Eye Press has published two anthologies under the Shotgun Honey name. The first one was called Both Barrels, and the second one was Reloaded, Both Barrels, Volume 2. Just recently, Ron announced the third Shotgun Honey anthology, Locked and Loaded, Both Barrels, Volume 3. We're now accepting submissions for Locked and Loaded. The deadline is May 11th. You can get all the details at oneeyepress.com. One Eye Press also recently released its first novella, Federales, by Christopher Irvin. It is a fantastic book set in the modern-day Mexican drug war. You can get it in paperback or ebook, whatever you like. Chris is a fantastic writer. He's a co-editor with me at Shotgun Honey. And I highly recommend that you check out Federales by Christopher Irvin. And One Eye Press isn't just crime fiction, by the way. They also publish the Western-themed The Big Adios, and soon the horror-themed Blight Digest. Now it's time to hear some fiction by the head honcho of One Eye Press, Earl Phillips. Read by David Subkawiak and Laura Frechette. This is On the Sly by Earl Phillips.
She was a sucker punch. Mr. Cowley didn't see her coming. The redhead just appeared, curves and all, with a blue dress on. Not his typical clientele. At Coughlin's, one of the nicer department stores in the city, Mr. Cowley, senior men's salesman, usually dealt with gentlemen of a certain stature. Wealthy old geezers. I can't remember the last time I saw anyone south of 50 shopping Coughlin's men's department. So a sharp 20-something in a blue dress that hugged just enough to separate the woman from the girls was a welcomed eyesore. Mr. Cowley was all grin and fluster as he approached her. She was looking over the men's handkerchiefs displayed in a flourish of color across the counter. Mr. Cowley said something, all shakes and jitters, and her smile was just enough sweetness to settle in. Both were smiles as they talked over the handkerchiefs. She would lift one up to his chest, say something about the color, I supposed. Each time, Mr. Cowley would go flush with color, and the two would laugh softly. I wasn't sure who was doing the selling here. When I was sure Mr. Cowley would burst, he took a handkerchief from the pile, a blue silky number that matched her dress, and walked behind the counter. That's when pleasure became business. I saw her slip a handkerchief or two into her purse. Mr. Cowley returned with a small box, handkerchief already folded inside. She was all smiles again, taking the box. She took a slip from Mr. Cowley, signing it before passing it back. A brief thank you, goodbye, and she left. I stepped over to the counter. "Backner." He nodded. I returned the favor. Cowley. He straightened the handkerchiefs. "That girl who was just here." "Oh, you saw her?" He smirked. "How could you not? She was delicious. Just your type, I imagine. Not the kind of lot you get to see since they moved you downstairs, is it?" "No, not at all." He was trying to goad me, turn the screws. He thought me to be a ladies' man. Perhaps I was. But it was better than being a prudish old man at a men's sales counter. I mentally shrugged it off. Anyway, I saw she signed for the purchase instead of paying cash. "Yes, she's a secretary, I gather, for Dan Myers. She said she was picking up a gift for a client. A sweet girl she was. To be young again and rousting about with a beauty like..." He paused, looking at the signed slip. "Carrie Llewellyn." Mr. Cowley sighed. "Carrie Llewellyn, you say?" I turned, not explaining. I followed her out the way she left. "Good luck," he said. I heard a chuckle. I didn't have to go far. She was sitting at the table outside of Del Toro's just across the street from Coughlin's, scanning a menu. Her blue dress was cinched up above her knees, and a car nearly hit me as I absently crossed the street. The car's horn blared. I rose up my arms. Sorry. She saw me coming. I half waved. Carrie Llewellyn? I ran my hand down, smoothing my tie. She smiled her sweet smile again.
Yes?
I saw you in Coughlin's.
As I did you.
She gestured to the open chair in front of her.
Would you like to sit?
Thank you. Normally I'm smooth with the ladies, but Carrie was different. I reached in my jacket and pulled out a pack of Pall Malls and shook one free. Between my lips I lit it and inhaled. Then I let it go. No, Miss Llewellyn, I saw you. I gestured to her purse. While old Collie's back was turned, you helped yourself to a couple more handkerchiefs. Slipped them right into that pretty blue handbag.
Well, it seems you've caught me, Mr.
She was sharp, and it wasn't the dress and the curves or the long curls of her red hair that made her that way. Quayne calculated. She had an edge. Chance Beckner. I'm a house detective at Coughlin's.
I gathered that, Mr. Beckner. So what are we going to do?
Normally, I wouldn't have let you leave the store. Then you bought a handkerchief, on credit even. So that makes you a valued customer, I guess. Her eyes glinted.
So it's because I'm a valued customer, not because you find me attractive?
Well, I can't say that didn't have anything to do with it. You're a lovely woman, Miss Llewellyn.
I'm glad you noticed. The handkerchiefs were just a guarantee. I wanted you to follow me. Apprehend me, if you will. Silly, isn't it?
I don't get you.
Don't be so vacant, Mr. Beckner. You're an attractive man.
She reached into her purse.
Let me give you the handkerchiefs and we can start over.
Pulling them out with the contents of her purse, the box with the blue handkerchief, and a long blue envelope fell to the ground in opposite directions. She bent down and retrieved the box. I grabbed the envelope. Here you go. She rejected it.
Oh, that's yours.
Mine. I looked at the envelope with my name on it. Charles Elliot Beckner. I don't understand, I said, removing the papers inside.
Mr. Beckner, you have been dutifully served on behalf of my employer, Daniel Myers, Esquire, and your wife, Eleanor Fife Beckner. Divorce papers. I'm sorry.
She seemed almost apologetic. I wasn't going to ask why. I knew why Elle wanted a divorce. She handed me the errand handkerchiefs. I shoved them into my pocket absently. Why charade? Why buy the handkerchief? She smiled, not innocent or sweet, rather a little guilty and nervous.
It's a present.
Carrie Llewellyn handed me the box, got up, and left. Inside was the blue handkerchief, color same as the dress. Under the lid was scribbled,
When things straighten out, you'll need a little color in your life. Call me. Carrie.
her number was included. Sucker Punch. On the Sly was written by Earl Phillips. Read by David Subkoyak. Additional vocals provided by Laura Frechette. Musical works provided by Incompetech.com. All rights reserved.
That was On the Sly by Earl Phillips. Our next story is set in the Pennsylvania State Capitol building. It's a story about an ambitious state senator who has his eyes set on the governor's mansion. And speaking of the Pennsylvania State Capitol, if you've never visited, it is well worth seeing. I'm fortunate to have a job where I work in the Capitol just about every day, and it is an incredible place. The architecture, the artwork, the history, definitely recommended for a visit. And if you do stop by the Pennsylvania State Capitol, be sure to swing by Senator Dominic Pileggi's office, see if I'm around. If I am, please say hello. The next story, Oh Well, was originally published by the Flash Fiction Offensive at Out of the Gutter Online. It's being read by my partner in word crimes, Scott Detrow, a public radio reporter in Sacramento, California. This is Oh Well by Erik Arneson, read by Scott Detrow.
Everyone thinks politicians have it easy. Taxpayer-funded salaries, Cadillac benefits, lobbyists whining and dining us. Bullshit. I've been a state senator for 12 years. Served my district to the best of my ability. Tried to be a good husband and father, too. 4 weeks until my next election, it's clear none of that matters. My opponent is attacking me on television every day, regurgitating tired old ethics allegations, never proven. A month ago, my wife took our daughter and left me for a gas driller from Texas. Not even a week later, my mistress left me for, of all things, a state representative. No matter, I will turn things around. Starting today. I'm 49, still young for a politician, with fabulous hair and a winning smile, critical tools in this occupation. I also have a plan, a good plan, developed last night over a whiskey or two. Or 5. Phase 1, re-election. I'll lock that down today. Phase 2, chairman of the Appropriations Committee. The current chairman is retiring. I'm next in line, easy. Phase 3, governor. Assuming things go well with Phase 1 and Phase 2, and there's no reason they shouldn't, I could be living in the governor's mansion 2 years from now. My quaif is extraordinarily gubernatorial. A few minutes before noon, I ride the elevator down to the first floor of the Pennsylvania Capitol and stride across the historic Moravian tile floor. Beneath the towering Capitol dome, a lectern awaits at the base of the grand marble staircase. It faces 15 folding chairs set up for the press in 3 orderly rows of 5. Chris Brennan from the Towanda Sentinel, front and center. The Sentinel covers the core of my district, which spans a huge swath of rural north-central Pennsylvania, the area James Carville labeled Alabama in between. Brennan's a hack, but he's the only reporter who matters today. I take a deep breath and flash my brilliant smile. Good afternoon. Today, I will offer an amendment to Senate Bill 119, providing $22.7 million for the Endless Mountain Regional Public Safety Initiative. These funds will allow our police, firefighters, and EMS crews to upgrade equipment and modernize training facilities. My amendment will dramatically improve public safety in communities across the 9th District. Hours later, I sit alone in the darkened Senate chamber and stare blankly at the mural of President Lincoln at Gettysburg in 1863. My amendment failed, 24-26. Finally, anger overcomes my shock and depression. I push myself to my feet and rush into the office of Senator Adam Pancake, ignoring his secretary's squawking protests. I slam the door behind me. Damn it, Adam, you said I had all the Philly votes. I needed this. Pancake rises from his buttoned high-back chestnut brown leather chair and tilts his head condescendingly. Relax, Harry, it's nothing personal. He walks to the front of his oak pedestal desk and puts his hand on my shoulder. I knock it off. Listen, he says. The governor called me right before the vote. I don't know how you pissed him off, but he promised to nominate my brother-in-law for judge if your amendment failed. I've been wanting that for a long time, Harry. A long time. I'm done. Finished. Might as well tie me up. Throw me over. Oh, well, Harry. You know the game. Pancake winks, laughs, and turns away. It's more than I can stand. I grab the first thing I see, a brass letter opener on his desk, and lunge. It sinks into the side of Pancake's neck far more easily than I would have imagined. Pancake falls to his knees, then flat on his face as blood pours from the wound and slowly spreads across the carpet. Whatever pain he feels lasts just a few seconds before his soul moves on. I have indeed changed my future. My gubernatorial hair and winning smile will do me no good now. I yank the letter opener out of Pancake and aim it for my own heart.
That was Scott Detrow reading Oh Well, originally published by the Flash Fiction Offensive at Out of the Gutter Online. Thanks for listening to this episode of Title 18 Word Crimes. Looking ahead to the future, Scott and I are planning to feature stories by Christopher Irvin, Tom Pitts, Joe Clifford, Jen Conley, Steve Weddle, and many other incredible writers, so be sure to tune in for those. You can subscribe to Word Crimes on iTunes and Stitcher to make sure you don't miss a single episode, and if you're so inclined, please rate the podcast as well. Scott and I would really appreciate it. If you want to get in touch, you can find Scott on Twitter at Scott, DETROW, and you can find me at erikarneson.com. That's ERIKARNESON.com. Every episode of the Word Crimes podcast is archived at erikarneson.com, and you can check out the page for this episode to find links to One Eye Press, Earl Phillips, Out of the Gutter Online, and a whole lot more. I'm also at Erik Arneson on Twitter, and easy to find on Facebook. The music on this episode is by The Throws. I'm thrilled to report that they're back in the studio recording new music. As soon as it's available, I will let you know. In the meantime, you can find them at The Throws, THROES, thethrows.com. Thanks again for listening to Title 18, Word Crimes. We'll be back soon with more crime fiction for your listening pleasure.
Sometimes it seems certain people have got the nerve to tear out my heart, spit it on the ground.